What's up? Welcome. I am so glad you are here listening and spending time with me today. Release Your Inner Power talks about life, the trenches, the decisions, and the wins that we have now, today, and that have experienced in our past. There are stories, encouragement, tools, and tips to take those next steps to release that inner power and connect with something that is said or someone, a special guest maybe, that will boost your week. I am your host, Shauna B. Here we go. Welcome back to Boost Your Week with Ignited Decisions. I'm your host, Shauna B., and I am excited to talk to you today about mom guilt. How many moms have mom guilt or suffer from mom guilt? Like everybody in the room's raising their hand right now, right? It's a thing, man, and it's something that can keep us from doing what we really love or want to do, or even taking care of ourselves. It can be a huge block and what I call bump in the road to like fully living your life and living it with your family. It almost can lock you in a cage, if you will. So I want to talk about what mom guilt is, why we even have this guilt, where it is coming from, what we can do about it, and all of the awesome benefits of keeping it in check. I'm going to give you some tools today. I'm going to give you some affirmations or things you can say to yourself to keep that in check. Because what I call the brain dragon loves to swoop in and get this mom guilt thing all messy inside of our heads to keep us stuck. So, let's start with what mom guilt is. If you are somebody that does not know what mom guilt is, it is a mom that is thinking of things and feeling maybe she's not doing a good job at something, or I could do better than that, or I need to do better, or I'm a bad mom, or oh man, I shouldn't have done that. I totally lost my shit on my kid over there. Now I have to, make it better. And, I feel bad because, basically beating yourself up and I should have done this and I should have done that, when you make a mistake, when there is like shame and regret with parental choices that you do, or even personal choices, not, wanting to go out and doing something, but then not doing it, or I'm taking time for myself because you're taking away from your kids or what have you. You feel like you're not doing enough for your children. And we end up on that slippery slope of self-sacrificing ourselves for others and for our children because we have all this guilt about stuff. Do you know that at least 90% of moms experience mom guilt like a million times when they're raising their children? Multiple times when they're raising their children. Comparing themselves to other moms is a huge contributor, but then also judging moms. So when you see the mom that looks like she's got all the cute little lunches that are themed out and they're, all the food groups and all the things, and you're the mom that sends her kid to school and they buy school lunch, and you're like, oh man, I really want to do that. I really want to be able to make lunches in the morning, or you could be like, oh, look at that mom. She's totally getting her stuff together and she's like having all the lunches with all the things, and I'm over here sending my kid, Either way, that's like starting the process of the guilt loop. That's starting it. And when guilt starts, then it turns into worry or, oh no, do I need to do this? Am I going to be the mom that stands out? Am I going to worry about what other people think because of the whole judging thing? And then it turns into this whole anxiety thing. Who wants that? Now, I do want to say that some guilt is okay. Having the guilt, having the information, having that is information that can get you to evaluate what you truly need or what you actually want, it's when the guilt starts to interfere with the decision based off of that. So if you decide that you want to do something and you change it because you feel guilty, that's when it's a problem. Or if it keeps you from doing something that is actually needed, like taking care of yourself, that is a problem. That's when it needs to be checked. Okay? When we ignore this, when we ignore the guilt, push it to the side, or do the thing later that you were going to do that you now feel guilty, you get increased like negative thoughts, and those loops, they actually increase because that's where your focus is, right? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So you have an increase in negative thoughts and loops and anxiety. Your self-worth decreases, your confidence decreases, and your mental health decreases. You can end up not sleeping well over it. You can get totally burnt out by overdoing everything, trying to do all the things and trying to, be the mom that somebody else's mom, basically, or trying to prove yourself that you're good. You can, spend too much time being checked out when you have too much guilt, like scroll through social media, and then what? Then you look up and you have to do the dishes, and then you have to do homework, and you have to make dinner, and now it's 6:30, 7 o'clock, and you're like, great, look what I just did, and what are you doing? You're feeling guilty and making yourself feel bad. Fatigue can set in. You're not feeling the feels, so you're ignoring your feelings. You can start making bad habits that temporarily make you feel better because you don't want to feel the guilt, right? 4 common ways that this guilt can show up. Let's look at where this shows up. Okay, now that we know what it does and what it can affect, what are the 4 common ways that it can actually show up for you? To notice what you're noticing and being aware of where it is in your life so you can check that, so we can have less of the negative and more of the positive. Comparing yourself to others. This one is very tricky and sneaky. It comes in from things and people in your environment that have to do with your family and your kids. It is very interesting when you start noticing when you are actually doing it to see. So I challenge you to look at these ways that guilt show up in your life to see where they are, because our subconscious will slide in and start doing this if it is a habit to our brains. Check it out and see. Comparing yourself to others. Number 2, your parenting style. Everyone has their own parenting style, man. Even if you are in the same family, right? Your siblings, or, how your mom was or how your grandma was. We have all had our own unique experiences and situations that make us who we are, which is how or why we have our own parenting style. Number 3, feeling like your day is on repeat, on that hamster wheel, when you're just trying to get through the day and you're just trying to get through the week, or you can't wait till bedtime because you're so tired, as well as wanting time away from your kids. I love them, but I need to get out of here. Like, it's an inside joke, not inside joke with my family, that when things get too much for me, I have a code word, and it's South America. And when I say South America to my family, I am like at the point of needing a break. I have to walk away. It's too much. It's too much, because we have those all the time as a parent. We have them all the time as a parent, especially nowadays. There is a lot that we need to manage just in parenting and our lives and us and other humans, for Pete's sake. And when I say South America, they know I need a break, and I'm at my end point. At the same time, I know that I did not take the time for myself before I got to my South America point. You hear what I'm saying? And number 4, work hours. When your kids need to be dropped off to school to go to work outside of the home, or even inside the home to get the work done. as well as to maybe taking them to a sitter to get the work done. Doing those work hours and having it outside of the home or being away from your kids, not spending time with them is usually how that guilt comes up, right? Because we have to work. Working is normal. Working is normal. But that is a definite area that guilt can show up, whether you should stay home with your kids or work. Not engaging or doing activities or talking or going out and doing stuff for yourself on a regular basis can contribute to your feeling down, can contribute to your feeling the blues, if you will. And really, it's letting guilt take over and, interfere with your decision making can really make you miss out on the moments that you actually want to cherish and be a part of because that guilt is happening, right? It can keep you from enjoying the momhood moments and watching them grow up, as well as your individuality. You were a person before your children came into this world, and you still are that same person. You have additions, wonderful additions to your life that enhance you and kind of leveled you up in a way, because you are now a mom that takes care of yourself and however many littles that you have. And you don't want to miss out on either of those things. You don't want to regret not doing something for yourself, but you also don't want to regret not being there and present and enjoying all of these little moments, even the ones where you get really frustrated at them later that you might laugh about because it was funny later, not in the moment. You don't want to miss out on those. The remember whens. I remember when you did this. I remember when you said that. Being present helps recall those later. I want to talk about some examples of some different forms of guilt, the triggers. What triggers you to start that whole guilt loop? And then the frickin' BS social norms that a lot of, as a collective human race, think of that can make the trigger happen for the guilt loop to start, rolling on in your brain. Some of them might be like feeling like you're not doing enough for you, family, or your children. Or when you ask for help, sometimes guilt sets in because you have to ask for help because for some reason we feel like we need to have Superman capes on all the time and just do all of the things, and that we can't ask for help because then that means that we're not doing enough. Or losing your shit on your kids and you're just like at your tipping point and you just lose your business, and then you're like, okay, yeah, I probably shouldn't have done that. Sometimes doing something for yourself can trigger it, or struggling with something in motherhood when things get really hard. Sometimes we can have what I call spirited children. I feel like there's more kiddos with this now in this era with, post-COVID, have a really hard time with emotions and identifying people's emotions as well as their own. And they're delayed because of the shelter in place and the lack of interaction, that now it's coming out when they're bigger, and it just is bigger. It just seems bigger and it's harder, right? You may have something like that. You may have a teenage situation where they're doing things where you're like, what is happening? I was a teenager before and this is a different level. Because I'm sorry, if you are around my age, we didn't have the Google. Yes, I said the Google. And our children don't know anything about their lives without internet or the Google, and everything is accessible to them, which when their world gets bigger, our parenting rules and ways of parenting is bigger, and it can get to be a lot. It can trigger a lot of things. Some of the BS social norms that drive me completely bananas that you may hear that could trigger some forms of guilt, or your child's behavior is a direct reflection of you. Okay. Really? Is it though? Because they're not their own individual selves also? I mean, I know some moms that parent and mom their buns off and really try to show up for their children, and they are showing up for their children and they're supporting them. They're doing the best that they can with what they have, and still things are happening that you have no clue as a society, you have no clue what somebody is going through, what they have done, what they have tried. And for one situation that you may be there to witness, do you think that mom wants you to judge her, or do you think she wants empathy because she is going through the business and it is hard? Right? Sit with that for a second. What would you rather be? Another BS social norm is you will never miss your pre-parent life. Okay, no, that's not true. Of course, you're going to miss the times where you can do things where you just go on a vacation at a whim, or you can go out with your girls and you don't have to plan anything, or you can do nothing. You don't even have to get out of bed because you don't have to take care of somebody else. Yeah, you're going to miss that sometimes. Does that mean you want to go back and live there? No, you have a new life, but there's sometimes you want that, and that's okay. Probably means you need to take a break. Just saying. But that's a norm that is debunked, right? Resting means you're lazy. That's another one that drives me bananas. You need rest in order to perform in anything. Your job as a mom, because moms is a job that we do not get paid for, that is 100% of our day. And you have to take the time to rest in order to continue to do well. If you are burning the candle at both ends, or you never rest, you're going to burn out way faster. And then you're going to be over it, which who wants that if you do not rest? Another one is the unrealistic expectation of the load that moms actually carry. Hey there, do you need some more tools to help boost your week? I got you. Head on over to www.igniteddecisions.com, and there is 4 different resources that you can use to help clear your mind, get things done, checking in, 10 ways to better your day, and to be able to plan more me time. Yes, plan more me time. Head on over to www.igniteddecisions.com to get your freebies today to help boost your week. How do we feel about that one? Like, how much that is or needs to be done, just bare necessity, like not even the extra stuff, just bare necessity things that need to be done with the house, with the job, with the family, and with the kids. If you actually thought about the list that it is crazy. And the fact that we as women and moms can boss up and do all of that, and it's almost like managing chaos, maintaining chaos and herding cats. And we do it. And we do it in the best way that we can. And there is a lot. And it's okay to say that there is a lot. And it's okay to say that it's hard. And it's okay to work through it one little step at a time. Because everything is going to end up being okay because you care. If you care and you notice what you're noticing and you notice these things and you work on them, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay. There's another form, is the guilt loops. You've heard me talk about those already. Guilt loops can be running those loops of second guessing yourself and changing your decisions and feeling guilty. And do I do this? Do I go out do I leave for this trip? Do I go? I don't know if I can. Questioning if you're doing it right, or you're messing up, or dealing with other people's opinions and judgments. Those things can play around in your head over and over and over again. We need to get those things out of Dodge here. Check that to help you quiet those so you can feel better about yourself and what you're doing. We don't want the burnout. We don't want the stuck in the guilt loops. And then the internal guilt, the guilt that we may not be pursuing what we actually want to do with maybe our career, or maybe a fun hobby that we really want to do, or a goal that we've always wanted to achieve, or that vacation that we always wanted to take. Maybe when you come home and your house is a total freaking disaster and it's not even clean, you're already beating yourself up because the guilt is setting in that it's not clean because it should be clean. Let's stop shitting on ourselves, right? Or you're not feeling organized. So then what are you doing? Running that loop of not being organized, and I need to be more organized. I need to be this. I need to be that. or not giving your child enough attention, feeling like you're not doing that, having that feeling that it needs to be more and that you're being pulled away. Or maybe let's talk about dinner. Maybe you're feeding them the same 5 meals every week because you're too decision fatigued and you don't want to think about new friggin' dinner ideas all the time. Or you're over it and they're like, can I have cereal for dinner? And you're like, yes, I want you go eat cereal for dinner. I don't care. Eat cereal for dinner. I don't care because I don't want to think about it. And then you beat yourself up later and you feel guilty because they ate cereal for dinner. Are they going to be okay going to sleep? Yes. Are they going to wake up the next day and be fine and it's a new day and that day they don't have to have cereal for dinner? Yes. Right? Now I want to give you some steps to start the process of checking this guilt and kind of keeping it at bay and not feeding what I call your brain dragon. So some things you can try are, if your guilt loop or the thing that's coming up for you is that you're not a good parent, I want you to think of what is a good parent to you, not what everybody else thinks, not what your mom or your dad or your siblings or your cousins or your friends think a good parent is. What is a good parent to you? What is that meaning? What are the sort of things that are important to you that you value as a parent? Think about that. It's good to get clear on that, because when you're clear on that, you're going to make more confident decisions in your parenting and not feel so guilty about your choices, especially when the judgy loops come in. You are very clear on why and what you're doing, that it quiets that voice. It quiets that guilt. It's lessened. Prioritizing your self-care and actually doing it. Actually doing that. It can be small things. Everybody's is going to look different. It doesn't have to look huge, like I'm going on this fancy vacation and I'm spending all this money and I'm gone for 2 weeks. You don't have to do that. You literally can take 10 minutes to yourself of quiet or asking for help. I need somebody to just sit here with my kids so I can go. You can take a friggin' drive or a walk around the neighborhood by yourself. Anything. Doing something that fills you up and takes a break, but actually doing it. I recommend starting with what I call sticking a toe in and something very small and start working on it from there. Once you become consistent with this process, the bigger decisions don't feel as hard and they don't feel as big. And stop the comparisons, my girls, my ladies. Stop the comparisons. There's always going to be someone that comes up where you may think that they're doing something better. Or maybe they're going to be that rude person that thinks that they're better than you. Nobody knows what you are going through. Nobody knows where you are at. Nobody knows what you have done. I'm going to ask you to hit the pause button when that comes up and remind yourself that you are doing the best that you can with what you have, and you are right where you need to be. Doing these things will lessen the negative feelings. It will lessen the guilt. I also want to add in as a little helpful hint, which how many of us are like, yeah, if you happen to be scrolling on social media and you find that it makes you feel like crap because you are comparing yourself to other situations where it is causing this guilt, it's time to set the B word, my friends. It's time to set boundaries and let some of it go. You have decisions, right? You can set the boundaries and you can check this guilt. You can check this guilt. I'm going to give you some sentences that you can say to yourself when it comes up to you, when your guilt comes up to you, to help kind of check it. So the pathways in your brain, when you do this, when you check when those negative feelings come up, because your paths, right? What is coming up for you when you're triggered and it's coming up, that is a habit in your brain. That is a habit thought. If you want to change them, you challenge them, you question them. Okay. So I will give you sentences. I'm going to give you things to say to yourself to check that so you can rewire your brain to not always come up with the guilt first. Okay. You are meant to be the mother of the child that you have. Your family loves you, and other people's opinions do not matter. Your children will remember the memories more than the mess. You have to take care of yourself so you can care for the others. Asking for help is not a weakness. No one is perfect and we all make mistakes. This is how we learn. Your best is good enough. One bad day does not make you a bad mom. Now, I also want to share with you some steps to start noticing where this guilt is in your life, to identify where it is coming up from you, because this could stem way back. Be curious when it comes up, when you start noticing it. I challenge you to keep track of it. Keep track of these loops. Keep track of when this guilt is coming up, when you are having the feelings. What is it? Is it the messy house? Is it the parenting? Is it the taking time for yourself? What is that? What is it? What is happening with that? Then asking yourself why it's there. Why do you feel guilty about it? Why is this happening? Once you get this down, you'll be able to identify what the trigger is. You'll know what the trigger is that's going to set this off. And then know your truth as a parent. What do I mean by that? This is you and your values and what I was just talking about getting crystal clear on what a good parent is, and then saying these sentences to support what you're deciding as a parent. This has your value in it, right? So for example, you can say that maybe your value is sleep. Maybe that's just really what sleep is a thing. Sleep is a thing for you and your kids. So maybe limiting screen time to end at 7:30 p.m. to be in bed by 8. So then they can have the amount of time for sleep that they need. This value will support the decision, and it helps sticking to that decision with minimizing the guilt. Do you see how that's working out? The value that you have and the clarity that you have on what you're parenting, what you want for your children, what is best for all of you, making the limited screen time to the end to end at 7:30, to be in bed by 8, minimizes all of that other bad, messy, guilty, whatever situations, right? Another one is your support system. Is there a trusted person or a group of friends maybe in your life that you can share things with? It could be one person. It doesn't have to be a bunch of people. Do you have that in your life that you can share, things with when things get hard and just kind of talk ideas over? And if you don't feel like you have those people in your life, if you don't feel like you have a person or a group of friends, or maybe you don't feel comfortable sharing because sometimes things are hard to share, even to your friends, even to your family. And that's okay too. Is there a place like a support group with others that share the same struggles as you? I know that with my oldest, I had struggles with emotional regulation, and I felt like at first it was my fault as a mom for what I was doing, how I was teaching him, what I was showing him, and going through and getting crystal clear on it and checking this guilt, knowing the things that I was doing and how many things I was doing to help him. I had to come to the understanding that it was going to take a long time. I was not comfortable talking to people about it. I was not comfortable saying what was going on because of the BS norms of, I'm not parenting him correctly because he's doing this thing, when I was parenting my booty off to try to get this for him to get the tools that he needed to regulate what he needed to regulate. And I also had to come to the clarity and understanding that he's just going to need more time, and that's okay. So I found a group of moms and dads that were going through the exact same situation as me and were in complete understanding, but also they had tools and ideas and things to do for yourself and for your kid that maybe nobody else could come up with to help me through the situation that I was in. And I found it life-changing. It was life-changing for me. One, I did not feel like I was alone. I could talk about it, and I was getting ideas. So finding a group that is going through the same thing, it can also be a huge boost in helping you with the guilt. When you check this guilt and you notice what you're noticing and you use these tools that I've been talking about, you're able to focus and watch your kiddos grow up, and you can be present. You can see all of these things and remember all of these fun little quirky smiles or jokes that they're making, or their silly time, or playing games together, or even just sitting down and watching a movie together. You're going to be able to be there and not running the loops. It improves your well-being, your mental well-being, and your children's, because what you do for yourself. It's kind of like when you fill up that cup and whatever is spilling over the cup, that is what you have left for your kids. You want that to be the most loving, the most patient, the most kind, the most present from a full tank versus an empty one where you're snippy, grabby, and I don't want to kind of thing, right? It helps you quiet the negative inner critic, that brain dragon that keeps trying to talk you out of everything and make you feel more guilty, which then makes you more happy and you feel more free, like you're not walking through the friggin' mud anymore and you're actually moving to the next thing and working on it and trying. And what can we do now? Right? So now I want to talk about 5 quick ways. I'm just in review of all of this. I know I threw a lot of information at you. I have 5 ways that you can check the guilt. And I also want to share with you, which I will put it in the show notes, is a link to get How to Keep Mom Guilt in Check guide. And it's literally notes of everything that I'm talking about on this podcast. If you want to have it as a reminder, if you're not wanting to take notes, just to have it to check it out or look at it with the statements that I made and everything. I have all of that made up for you if you would like to get it, and I'll have a link in the show notes for you to grab it, just in case you want all of these for reference. So 5 ways to check the guilt. So remember who you are, because you are not just a mom. You have things you like to do or go see, goals that you want to accomplish. Get your feet wet. Explore some of those interests. Be social. Do something different. Stick a toe in, right? Schedule time to relax. This is when you need to add in your self-care, in your quiet time, into your day. You're taking your breaks, your walks, your whatever that may be to fill yourself up so you are not running on a dead battery or an empty tank. So you can be there, show up, and be present. Another one is practicing gratitude. When you can get into a practice of this daily, it will shift your mind. It rewires your brain to see things in a different light. You will see way more things to be thankful for. When you start doing this practice, it will be bigger things like, I am grateful for the friends that I have. I'm grateful for the job. I'm grateful for making it. I'm grateful for being able to take maybe a trip with my kids, those types of things. As you practice this, it gets deeper, and there's other things that you might come up with that you will be more grateful for, but also in hard situations, you will see the things that you are grateful for in the midst of the storm. Know your support system. This is so important to have this set up, to know who your people are that have your back and using them when you need them. Whether this is family, whether this is friends, or maybe the support group that I was telling you about that was similar to what I joined in on. It could be a group that you want to make up yourself. If there isn't one, make one. Make a group. I guarantee you there is moms out there that need support systems, that need help, that want the community and the tribe, if you will, that are going through the same things. And who knows, you might be making the best of friends for the rest of your life that you did not even realize were out there. Just a thought. And communicate. Never assume that others think that you know what you need or what you are thinking. If you need something or would like something, make sure you say what you need so that can be met. Make sure you voice that with someone. Communication is key to getting your help and checking the guilt and getting ideas for how to do this whole mom and lifing thing. To do this all with the people that are in your world now. So how to keep mom guilt in check, my friends. How to keep mom guilt in check. If you want the guide, go ahead and click on the link that's in the show notes. I am so thankful that you spent time with me today in listening. Let me know how this has helped you and how this has boosted your week. Or just come and say hi to me. Just come and say hi to me. I would love to chat. I would love to know what you would like to hear about on this podcast. Have a wonderful week, and I will chat with you soon. Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, learned something new, or got some gems to take away that will boost your week. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to click that follow button to not miss what is coming next. If you love the show or want to share a story, send me a quick message. I love hearing from listeners. If you know someone who needs this episode in their life, go ahead and share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. If you are looking to connect more, check out the show notes for all the social links, my website. I would love to hear how this episode helped you and what you loved about it. If there's a topic you want to hear about, send that too. All right, ladies, now is the time to release your inner power.